From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, I'm Kylie Conway, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 for Thursday, August 3rd. More humidity today and a little bit warmer. Unlike last week, we're not going to see temperatures in the upper 80s. It'll be more in the upper 70s, near 80 for the afternoon. Some more cloud cover with some scattered showers and storms working into central Indiana. Best chance for steady rain will be in southwestern Indiana. Today, former President Donald Trump is due in court to face claims that he tried illegally to overturn the 2020 election. Trump will face a judge at a federal courthouse in Washington, D.C. later this afternoon. He's indicted on 4 felony charges. He'll be at the federal courthouse just blocks from the U.S. Capitol where his supporters stormed January 6, 2021. The charges include conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, obstruction of a congressional proceeding, and conspiracy against rights. Officials say they're making safety a priority today. Security guards placed guardrails near the federal courthouse just this morning. Federal prosecutors say Trump spread lies that there was fraud in the election and that he had won. They say these claims are false and the former president knew they were false. Trump's lawyer is now speaking out on how he'll defend the former president.
What we have now is an administration that has criminalized the free speech and advocacy of a prior administration during the time that there is a political election going on. That's unprecedented. We've never seen that in the United States, in the history of the United States.
Bill Barr served as Attorney General under Trump. He says the former president knew he lost the election and tried to overturn the results anyway.
To me, it's amazing that you read through the indictment and his behavior in that indictment, and it's nauseating. It's despicable behavior. Whether it's criminal or not, someone who engaged in that kind of bullying about a process that is fundamental to our system and to our self-government shouldn't be anywhere near the Oval Office.
Trump is scheduled to appear in court at 4 this afternoon. He's expected to officially be taken into custody and enter a not guilty plea before being released. And Trump's former vice president and Indiana Governor Mike Pence addressed the indictment from Indianapolis yesterday. Pence spoke at the state fair. News 8's government reporter Garrett Berquist was there and asked Pence if he would testify in a Trump trial.
Pence said he had hoped the January 6th probe wouldn't come to this. He says the former president deserves his day in court.
Pence's visit to the state fair came less than 24 hours after the latest indictment against his former boss became public. He says he wasn't looking forward to this.
Because I do believe that this is only going to further, I think it's only going to further ignite the divide in the country. And so my focus is going to be not on the indictment or the merits of it. There are profound issues. The president can make his case in court.
The indictment extensively references the pressure then-President Donald Trump put on Pence to refuse to certify the election results. It notes Pence refused on multiple occasions to do so.
Irrespective of the indictment, I want the American people to know that I had no right to overturn the election. And then on that day, President Trump asked me to put him over the Constitution, but I chose the Constitution.
Pence would not directly answer my question whether he would testify in a criminal trial, but he noted his prior comments.
I testified under a subpoena before the grand jury. I'm somebody that believes in the rule of law, but look, I have nothing to hide. I have written and spoken more extensively maybe than any other American about this topic. I don't want to prejudge how that case may unfold. The president's entitled to the presumption of innocence. He's entitled to his day in court.
For their part, the Trump campaign has called the indictment election interference. They say the lawlessness of these persecutions of President Trump and his supporters is reminiscent of Nazi Germany in the 1930s, the former Soviet Union, and other authoritarian dictatorial regimes. President Trump has always followed the law and the Constitution, with advice from many highly accomplished attorneys.
I'm Garrett Bergquist for Wish TV, wishtv.com, and like us on Facebook.
Plans are in place to renovate several rest areas and welcome centers across Indiana. INDOT says it will invest $600 million over the next 10 years. The Department of Transportation says the goal is to make the welcome centers an attractive destination to travelers. 2 welcome centers are already being renovated. Those include the Clear Creek Welcome Center on I-70 near Terre Haute and the Black River Welcome Center on I-64 near Poseyville. INDOT says the renovation will also add more than 1,000 truck parking spaces across the state. A new ruling means transgender students can keep using school restrooms that match their gender identity. The decision from the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals allows an earlier ruling to stand, compelling schools in Martinsville and Vigo County to allow the students to choose. The appeals judges explained in their new ruling that they expect the issue to end up in some form in the U.S. Supreme Court and that firmer rules will develop from that. Police are crediting a woman's brave escape for the capture of a kidnapper, and the FBI is revealing disturbing details about the case in Oregon. According to the FBI, agents arrested Nikasi Zuberi last month in Nevada. He's charged with interstate kidnapping. Authorities say he posed as an undercover police officer to kidnap the woman. Federal officials say he chained her up in a makeshift cell and assaulted her. Investigators say she escaped by beating down the door with her bare hands.
The victim's focus, actions, and her will to survive triggered a law enforcement response that may have actually saved many other women from a similar nightmare.
Authorities say Zuberi is linked to sexual assaults in 4 other states. They say they're searching for more potential victims. Some federal officials are questioning the decision to downgrade the U.S. debt rating. Fitch Ratings downgraded the rating 1 notch Tuesday, citing rising debt and a deterioration in standards of governance over the past 20 years. The Treasury Secretary says she does not support the decision.
Fitch's decision is puzzling in light of the economic strength we see in the United States. I strongly disagree with Fitch's decision, and I believe it is entirely unwarranted.
Other economic analysts say the decision will have little long-term effect on financial markets. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his wife are separating. Trudeau and his wife Sophie announced their separation in social media statements yesterday. The couple's been together since 2005. They have 3 children. Gen Con kicks off in downtown Indianapolis today. Organizers expect tens of thousands of gamers to go. It's happening at the Convention Center and Lucas Oil Stadium. 4 days of gaming, shopping, vendors, cosplay, food, so much more. It runs through Sunday. And today, a job fair for a Eastside food market. Indy Fresh Market is looking for people interested in mid-level management and store clerk positions. The Black-owned grocery store is hosting today's job fair at Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church on North Forest Manor Avenue. It runs from 10 to 3 today. A soft opening for the store, which is located at the corner of East 38th and Sheridan Avenue, is set for August 30th. A grand opening is set for October. This has been years in the planning process and construction process. It's a collaborative effort between multiple organizations to really provide fresh food to this neighborhood and jobs and put money back into the economy. I've written a story on it and more in depth on wishtv.com. And also today, free back-to-school vaccinations at the Children's Museum. Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield is offering them from 4 to 8 this evening. Organizers encourage you to register ahead of time, but say walk-ins are welcome too. And to business headlines, the IRS will allow taxpayers to file every major tax form online and will digitize its paper catalog by 2025. This will dramatically increase its customer service and speed up refunds by 4 weeks to millions of taxpayers. The tax agency estimates 94% of individual taxpayers will no longer need to send mail to the IRS once the program begins in January. The federal government's ban on incandescent light bulbs took effect this week, more than a decade and a half after such a rule was first proposed. The DOE said in announcing the incandescent bulb regulation that expects American consumers to save nearly $3 billion a year on utility bills, but the bulbs are more expensive to buy. Some employers are ending insurance coverage for weight loss drugs like Ozempic as their popularity and cost skyrocket. However, some proponents say that by covering weight loss drugs, employers will save money on health issues. According to a 2018 report by the Milken Institute, obesity-related complications resulted in $1.39 trillion worth of direct medical treatments and indirect productivity losses from chronic diseases in the United States. A survey of 2,000 millennial parents of school-age kids found that school supply lists are getting longer and more costly. More than half of parents think their children need more items for school than they did in their youth. Conducted by one poll on behalf of Cricket Wireless, 70% of respondents said most or all of their back-to-school budget is reserved for tech items. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway. Online at wishtv.com and like us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand for even more on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.